many conflicts and humanitarian crises, and yet through each wave of instability, one nation, Egypt, has consistently emerged as a pillar of stability, a voice of reason, and a lifeline for those in need. And tonight we examine how Egypt remains the indispensable actor of regional stability at a time when the Middle East is still reeling from wars and crises. Cairo's role as a mediator, as a stabilizer, and as a humanitarian actor stands out and stands at the center of regional diplomacy. With us here in the studio is our dear distinguished guest, Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst. Good evening, Mr. Salah. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Good evening, Mr. Mohamed, and for all of our followers at this night, and I hope them a fruitful and important discussion regarding the upsets and the upcoming updates that's happening now in the Middle East. We have lots of updates, we have lots of actions that are taking place now, and let us shadowing this on this night to our followers on this episode.
Indeed, very true. A lot of important updates, especially regarding finally. We have a deal. We don't know if it's a deal or a deal to make a deal. But anyway, the US-Iran, of course, deal signed by Mr. Trump and signed by Mr. Pezeshkian. First, Mr. Salah, ladies and gentlemen, the top stories of the night, and it has to do with the US-Iran. As His Excellency the President on Thursday welcomed the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding by the United States President Donald Trump and the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. In a post via his social media account, President Sisi expressed the deep appreciation of Egypt for Mr. Trump's wise leadership and his sincere efforts for restoring security and stability in the region through understandings. President Sisi cherished the complete coordination conducted among regional partners to reach such a satisfactory result as the social media post indicated. The head of state lauded the staunch efforts exerted by Pakistan and Qatar, along with Saudi Arabia, to strike this memorandum of understanding. And President Sisi deemed the move as a turning point towards a new phase of calm, sustainable security and stability in the region. And Foreign Minister Badr Abdel-Ati and U.S. President Advisor for Arab and African Affairs Mossad Boulos probed bilateral ties and regional issues of mutual concern over the phone on Thursday. During their conversation, Dr. Abdel-Ati and Mr. Boulos hailed the deep bilateral ties binding the two nations, as well as their fruitful cooperation in various domains. They said such strong relations were reflected through the latest meeting between President Sisi and his U.S. counterpart on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France, which tackled a number of regional files. Minister Abdel-Ati congratulated the American official over reaching a memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran, expressing his hope this would lead to a new stage of security and stability in the region. The talks also covered regional files. On top of them came the importance of unifying Libyan national institutions, as well as Egypt's constant position towards maintaining unity, security and stability in the Horn of Africa region. All right, those were our top stories of the night. We will now watch a report together on Egypt's anchoring of peace, security and stability in the Middle East. And when we come back, we will have our Q&A session with our dear guest with us here in the studio, Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst. Mr. Salah, dear viewers, please stay with us.
Egypt's role in regional stability is not a recent development. It is a strategic commitment deeply rooted in the nation's understanding of its geopolitical responsibilities. This commitment was on full display most recently on the sidelines of the G7 summit in the French city of Avian, where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participated in discussions on the Middle East stability, marking Egypt's second appearance at this high-level global gathering. Speaking during a session session titled Addressing Crises and Ensuring Stability in the Middle East, attended by G7 leaders as well as the presidents of the United Arab Emirates and Qatar, President Sisi outlined Egypt's vision on unfolding regional developments, stressing the imperative of reaching a comprehensive settlement to geopolitical crises in the Middle East to ensure regional and global peace and stability, particularly following the immense suffering enduring due to protracted wars and conflicts. He also declared that there could be no alternative to a just and lasting resolution of the Palestinian issue based on the two-state solution, including the establishment of an independent Palestinian state along the June 4, 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. The president warned that international attention on the crisis with Iran had coincided with an expansion of the scope of the Yellow Zone in Gaza to encompass around 70% of the territory, effectively leaving only 30% of the enclave accessible to Palestinians. He called for an immediate end to such measures and rejected any attempt to annex the occupied West Bank. Egypt's diplomatic efforts have not gone unnoticed. European Council President Antonio Costa praised Egypt's role in fostering stability in the region, commending Cairo's efforts to support the negotiation process between Washington and Tehran. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised Egypt's responsible approach to regional crises, highlighting the significant convergence between Egyptian and European positions. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni stated that President Sisi's participation in the G7 reaffirmed that peace could only be achieved through an agreement similar to the Egypt-Israel peace treaty. Beyond diplomacy, Egypt has translated its commitment into tangible humanitarian action. It keeps the Rafah crossing open from the Egyptian side, with teams remaining on full alert across all logistics hubs while continuing efforts to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. It is dispatching Zed al-Izza convoys to the Gaza Strip, carrying thousands of tons of humanitarian aid, including food, flour, medical supplies, relief materials, fuel, clothing, and tents. Egypt's diplomatic and humanitarian efforts converge in its ongoing mediation role and is reflected on the progress in Cairo talks on the Gaza ceasefire. As President Sisi said at the G7, lasting regional stability requires all parties to adopt a responsible approach based on respect for state sovereignty, adherence to international law, and the preservation of national institutions. Egypt continues to demonstrate that it is not merely a participant in regional diplomacy, but it is an essential anchor.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. And many thanks to Abir Hussein for this report. And we're back here with Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst. So, Mr. Salah, Egypt historically has been the cornerstone of stability, security, and peace in the region. The voice of logic, the voice of reason, the voice of wisdom.
I'd like to say that this is what's expected from a regional power or a regional power such as Egypt. We have to know well that Egypt is coming as a basis or a basic action of sustainability and basic action of a basic part of security in the Middle East, because as the Egypt is considered the leader of the Middle East historically, and at least at the current days also, you can say that the Egyptian diplomacy or the Egyptian vision regarding the future is depending on a very active and a very informative and very productive vision in order to solve all the problems in the Middle East. You are not adopting war, you are not war actions, you are not adopting violence, but you are giving them or finding out how to find a suitable bilateral ties or a bilateral relations solutions that might give us or might give them an opportunity to end this struggle or to end this war. And this is expected from the Egyptian presidency, especially President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which have faced lots of regional problems and lots of global problems, and have interacted with it wisely, and have said that Egypt has produced lots of solutions regarding many international and regional problems that have been happening last 15 years. This is not the only way or the first time to have Egyptian solutions or Egyptian support to a peaceful solutions. If you go back to what happened in the past, you will find that Egypt is standing all the time beside the international law. Egypt is standing beside bilateral cooperation between nations. You will find that Egypt is standing with what we can call it making economic benefits between the two partners or two sides which are targeting or fighting each others, in order to have such an economic ties which will help them to cooperate for the sake and for the benefits of people here and people there at the same time. So we have to know well that Egypt is very experted on having this kind of interactions or producing such solutions. Egypt is counted to be one of the most important regional power in the Middle East, and this is the reason of how Egypt is counted or is expected to solve any problems in the Middle East in general, and not only in the Middle East, but also in the world in general.
And as we saw, and before we break for the call for Al-Isha prayer, as we saw President al-Sisi's participation at the G7 summit in France, and we saw the US President Donald Trump giving a press conference there, thanking, of course, the Emir of Qatar and Pakistan. He also thanked President al-Sisi and the UAE President and the Saudi heir to the throne for their help in reaching the US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. And also Egypt, while it welcomed the reaching of such an understanding, it has also offered to participate in the 60 days of negotiations to facilitate and to play the role of, again, the broker and the mediator and the facilitator. So Egypt, again, offering its assistance, as it assisted in the past, its assistance in the upcoming phase. And it's going to be a very important one, Mr. Salah, because to have a deal with Iran, a comprehensive deal with Iran, the security concerns of the Arab Gulf states is something very important, and the security of the Arab Gulf states and Arab countries in general is part and parcel of Egypt's own national security, as Egypt always reiterates. We'll have to break for the call for Al-Isha prayer, and when we come back we will be talking again about Egypt's role as the key cornerstone of stability and security and peace here in the region. We'll also be talking about the latest regarding the US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding, and also mention Gaza, of course, and Lebanon, and other topics. Stability, peace and security here in the region, discussing the latest developments regarding the US-Iran, Gaza, Lebanon, and other top issues. Now, Mr. Salah, I want to talk about US-Iran for a little bit, if you will. So, are you optimistic that the 60 days of negotiations, with the help of Egypt, with the help of Qatar, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia, and others, will indeed bear fruit? Are we over are we past those ugly days, the 39 terrible days of war in the region? Or is this just a deal to have a deal? I mean, this is an understanding to try and reach a bigger understanding, you know what I mean?
And this is the most important, because I think that most of the analytics and most of the intellectuals are talking such as we have a final treatment or a final treaty between Iran and the United States. I think it's not clear or not. It's just an initiative or an memorandum
of understanding.
A first step towards
first step
towards having such.
This is what Egypt said, by the way, that this is the first step.
I think because this is we have to know have to make it very clear.
Egypt said this is the first step towards stability in the region. One step, because we have other issues. And in the presidential statement issued today, Egypt mentioned Gaza, mentioned Palestine, mentioned Lebanon, and others.
Because
please proceed.
Because all of these issues are linked or tied to Iran. If you are talking about the war in Gaza, you are talking about Hamas, and you are talking about South Lebanon, you are talking about Hezbollah, and about what's happening in Yemen and in Iraq. All of these Shia groups, or all of this what's called resistance axis, is all tied to Iranian states. And we have to know well that one of the most important issues that haven't been discussed till now is the relations between Iran and its arms in the Middle East. What are these relations? The future
and I guess this is a first step, because a lot also lies on Israel. And Egypt condemned, of course, repeatedly the Israeli practices in occupied Palestine and Lebanon and elsewhere.
Sure, and this is one of the most important principles that have been targeted or discussed by Iran and the United States, is that we are negotiating about the whole region in general, not only about the Iranian and American issues particularly. So you are talking about Lebanon, you are talking about Syria, you are talking about Gaza, you are talking about Iraq, about Yemen. All of these issues are included into these negotiations. Also have to know well that the nuclear system, or the nuclear project by the Uranian
will be discussed heavily.
Also, we do not have any conclusions regarding what will happen on enriched uranium, or what's happening to the system in general. Will it be closed? Will it be ended? Or will it be?
I'll try to to talk big picture here. Now, again, that's the main question that we should all be asking ourselves. Are we past the bad, ugly days, and we are moving forward towards a peace that will be upheld between the United States and Israel from one side, and Iran, and then the Arab Gulf countries will live in peace and everybody will live in peace? Or is this just, again, a memorandum of understanding to have an understanding? It's a deal to have a deal. And we have a long way to go, because, one thing that supports the theory that this is peace for good is that both sides have been very tired. I mean, the Americans and the Iranians, it was very obvious. Both of them wanted the deal. But Israel, from the other side, does not want any peace deal. So it's an element that could ruin everything. That's why I'm asking the question.
And this is the main threat to this treaty, which is Israel, because they are not accepting what happened on the Iranian and American side, and they are not ready to withdraw from the Lebanese South Lebanon or South Syria, and they have the desire or have the ability to continue war between them and between Iranian side without any support from the United States of America. And they said that they are a liberate state, and they have their own concerns and they have their own benefits, so they are not going to be apart from this treaty or apart from this understanding. Whether we have known that or have listened from the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, he said that it's a quarter treaty between Iran and Hezbollah from one side, and the other side contains the United States of America and Israel. So the only threat for this concern, for this treaty, which will be Israel. At the same time, from strategic dimension, you will know that America now have lots of problems regarding having a World Cup competitions on the American land, and this is the first important part. And the second part, which is about the lake of oil resources inside America, and the third is that the lake of war defensive and offensive missiles on the American side, which will need a lot of a very big period of time in order to renew this kind of weapons. So America, from a strategic dimension, don't have the ability. I don't know that, I don't say that they do not have the desire, the ability itself, they do not have the ability to regain war actions again. So they have a very static and a very strong desire in order to reach with this treaty to the end of the negotiations after 60 days. So if you notice, they have said that this period of time, which is 60 days, is maybe not be able, or may not be enough in order to produce a strong,
comprehensive final
deal. So they give you one option, which is to renew these 60 days by the acceptance of both sides, Iran and the United States of America. Why renewing this? Because they do not have the desire to go back to war actions. Because of
so actually both the Americans and the Iranians do not want to go back to war.
And still do have a threat from the Israeli side and from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Not only Benjamin Netanyahu, I'd like to say that
Israel is the factor that could ruin
the entire political system in Israel. Is not accepting this treaty, is not looking for this as a good thing to go
for the political future of
Netanyahu. So they have a lot of concern, they have a lot of fear, they have a lot of threats regarding the Iranian side.
So what do you think? So what do you think will happen? I mean, in the end, are we going to reach a final deal after 60 days, or are we going to have the renewal of the negotiations for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times?
Have a renewal. I think we will have this is what will happen, which is having the renewal of the negotiation processes between Iran and America. And let's say that these negotiations have started, I think, in 2007 or 2006. And now we are in 2026, and we haven't reached any final decision regarding these negotiations.
Well, there was the Obama deal. But obviously, I mean, Mr. Trump, by the way, the former U.S. President Obama said that Trump's deal will not be better than his.
I'm sure,
but Mr. Trump says that his deal is much, much, much better than the Obama deal.
Evil is on details. This is a very important news that we have to keep in mind while talking about this, because many of these principles it is done or conducted without knowing how will we implement these principles.
Absolutely.
How will we have to turn it into life.
Absolutely. Again, Egypt has said that it is ready to be an active player, as it was before the deal in the quartet. Remember, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Egypt.
All the region, I think, not only Egypt, but we have to know well that the key role played were from the Egyptian side, from Qatar, from Pakistan, and also from Turkey. Turkey has a lot of effect on this.
And Saudi Arabia. And speaking of Turkey, I mean, the Israeli diaspora minister, his name is Amichai Shikli, you know, just today, on this Thursday, saying that Israel will go to war sooner or later with Syria
against Syria and Turkey.
Amazing. I mean, we've seen the Iran war end, at least for now, and the Israelis are already talking about the next war, and it's going to be Syria and Turkey. I mean, this is mind-boggling.
Let me explain something which is very important.
We don't want to hear about wars.
I want to explain something which is important from this side, which is about spreading Israel or having another geographical expansion, calling under the theory of greater Israel,
so-called,
all of these ideas, and the deal between America and Iran kills this strategy, or kills these plans, preventing them from geographical expansion on the eastern.
And they're already talking about.
So they have a blockage on the eastern side, and they have another blockage on the south side.
And when Egypt prevented the implementation of the evil Israeli plan to displace Palestinians from Gaza into the Sinai. That was also one big step in thwarting these Israeli
it's a block from the southern,
illusions.
a block from the southern axis from the Israeli side.
Right.
So they do not have the only axis which is open now to war, or which is open now for war actions. It's only the north axis regarding Lebanon or regarding Lebanon, Syria, and Turkey.
Again,
about Lebanon, they do not have a free hand regarding war anymore. I think it will not be.
So you think Mr. Trump is serious when he said yesterday in the press conference at the G7 in Evian, France? He said, you know, about Netanyahu. He gets overexcited sometimes, and he knocks down buildings in Beirut because a missile fell in the desert. He should not do this. He should stop. So you think he is serious?
Sure, he's taking serious, and this is where we're shown by a lots of media and lots of media on the America, in America and on other or outside America. They say that there are very big disagreements between Trump and between Netanyahu. When we are talking about coinciding another front on Israel against Netanyahu, you have to know well that this front is coincided or is performed from the American side. When you know a lot about the opposition on the Israeli system, you have to know well that it's a message from the American side that I can't change you with one action or from the first elections. And I think these are one of the solutions that President Trump might think in to solve this problem or to keep this treaty alive, which is replacing Benjamin Netanyahu with others.
Or at least not saving him. I mean, as Trump has said more than once, that Netanyahu should be grateful because he saved him. I want to talk Gaza, Palestine in general, and Lebanon, because again, Egypt at the G7 summit and in every international forum brings up the Palestinian cause and condemns the Israeli practices in the region. So President Sisi talked about the importance of implementing the second phase of the Donald Trump peace plan for Gaza. He said that now Israel has gone to is trying to acquire 70% or occupy 70% of Gaza. This cannot happen. He talked about the necessity of Israel withdrawing from Gaza, the reconstruction of Gaza, for stopping the illegal settlement activity in the West Bank, and for the importance and the necessity, again, the president here speaking, of Israel withdrawing from Lebanon and from the territories it occupies in Lebanon, because this could destroy peace in the region at a time when we're just about taking steps towards stability.
Yes, and I think all of these words done or repeated by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is reflecting the Egyptian political formal position regarding nowadays issues in the Middle East, and also said that we have to end up the violence, we have to end up the war actions that's happening or taking part in the Middle East. I think also it is about, if we have said about the treaty or about the negotiations happened before the treaty, I told you that it have been done or conducting regarding the whole Middle East in general, not only about the Iranian-American conflict. And we have to know well that at the coming days, America has no concerns regarding the Middle East in general. America is withdrawing from the region. America now have lots of priorities against not only the Middle East but also about its other implementations or its other commitments on the Pacific Oceans,
By the way, I forgot to say that Mr. Trump also thanked China and Russia, because he said they stayed neutral. This is how he said it yesterday in the Iran dispute.
Yes, and I think because Iran now is supported by China and Russia, and all of the world knows this. Let me say that ending this struggle or finalizing this situation served all of the people of the Middle East, ended or prevented our area or our region from being a theater of an international war between both of them, between America and China and Russia. So it's better for all sides. It's better for all stakeholders of this area.
It's better not to plant seeds for a potential World War III. I mean, it's better for everybody. Do not plant the seeds.
Yeah,
and what was happening was some kind of seeds were thrown.
This is the main objective of the Egyptian policy outside Egypt or outside in the Middle East in general. And this is very important.
And again, the president in France at the G7 summit and a presidential statement again today saying it's time to move, to look at the Palestinian cause. This is the root cause of all the struggles in the region. Only a two-state solution and a just and lasting peace, a just peace with occupied East Jerusalem, Al-Quds, as the capital of an independent, viable Palestinian state on the borders of 67. Only that can bring about real peace and real stability and real security in the region.
I totally agree with you and say that we'll not reach peace without having an end regarding the Israeli project, which is Greater Israel theory, and before having having a peaceful solution for the Palestinian issue, which will help the Palestinian state to be effective, to live, and at the second time to have East Jerusalem at the capital of this
and Egypt keeps reminding the world every day of this. The president did that at the G7 summit in France, and a presidential statement again today. Egypt believes in that. It's been saying that for decades. And you know, if the world really listens to the voice of reason and logic, we will reach peace. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst, as always, for your time and your insight. Always a pleasure having you.
Thanks a lot, Mr.
Thank you, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us. Please stay with Nile TV.